Greetings and hi, it's Oberon for TFT Tarot for today. Divine Dabblings with Oberon and Banshee, and this is Goth Tarot, and it's my 5th week, so we are pretty much done with the course of the work for the Shadow Certainties from the Cries of the Soul Oracle, and I thought I would do something a little bit more freewheeling, so I'm just going to look at other shadow issues or things that may be here in our lives. So we're going to take a look at that. But first I want to start with a reading from the Shadow and Light Oracle by Selena Moon. Discomfort, resentment, we often avoid conflicts or even mentioning our feelings because we fear the discomfort it might cause, especially in relationships, and even more so in new relationships. It's common to avoid conflicts by focusing solely on the positive things and ignoring negative emotions that need to be addressed just to keep the peace between everyone involved. Direct communication isn't always something that comes easy, though it needs to be learned, and this is an indication for you to practice it. Not communicating directly can instead cause the thing we fear from communication. If you keep repressing your emotions by not speaking up or not allowing your concerns to be aired, these can grow into resentment towards your partner in unhealthy situations. By avoiding discomfort or conflict, instead of building love and trust, we build resentment towards the people we love. That feeling of resentment can become worse than discomfort. Since resentment keeps growing until the matter is resolved. Sometimes it's better to endure the uncomfortable to avoid living with two selves, one loving and one resenting. Eventually, it only becomes your own pain that nobody else can see. You don't need to hide yourself to keep the peace. Stand up and face your fear, and you might get to experience the calm behind the storm. Take the time to reflect upon what is bothering you in your relationships and what you have been letting slide. What issues have you been feeling hesitant to bring up? When you have gathered your thoughts, be brave and choose discomfort over resentment. This card is an encouragement to you, if you are feeling resentful towards someone, to try and bring to the surface what has been bothering you. Affirmation. I choose discomfort over resentment. And it's pretty much what we got to do when this happens. So remember, we're not working with certainties anymore. We're sort of just moving beyond it and maybe cleansing the palate a little bit, so to speak. So I'm going to move now to the next phase here. And we're just going to throw some random cards. I've kind of come up with a little bit of a pattern. It's going to be 5 cards, and we're going to look at some side shadow issues. They may relate to what we've been doing, but I think they're also going to relate to just the shadow in general, codependencies in general. All right, so the first one is, what is the dark unknown? What is it that works against us the most? What is it that we really don't know or understand, but is really out there and is ready to tell us something? For this, I'm going to use the Deviant Moon Tarot. By Patrick Valenza. It's the Page of Wands, and it's reversed. The Page of Wands is our dark unknown. The thing that's out there that we don't really know what it is, but we know it's there for us. Well, I should say it is the thing that we know that works against us the most. I think that's a better way to kind of term that. It's something we don't understand, but we know it's there working against us. And so the Page of Wands reversed, it talks about the quality of not feeling welcome. In this context, that's what we're talking about. The idea that you don't feel you're welcome somewhere, and maybe that extends to the idea that you're that you're an imposter. You have imposter syndrome, and you feel you're faking things. And it's a dark unknown because you don't really know for sure if it's true or not. You feel you might be an imposter, but you don't get exact signals from others to tell you if that's what you're doing. And so you just sort of going through life with this feeling that you don't quite belong. You don't feel anyone even notices you. You're not even being called out. You're just sort of accepted in a default way. This could be because, of course, certainties, that you don't really put yourself out there in the way that lets you challenge and grow. You've decided already that you need to play this kind of backwards role here that you're doing. So now we're going to go to the next card, which is, I call it the Dark Acceptance, the idea oh, something, it's not like the dark truth. It's something really that's actually unacceptable. That's maybe not very true at all, yet you have to allow it to have the space that it has in your life. So it's sort of like a haunting in a way, but we're going to get to that too in a separate kind of situation. All right, so for this dark acceptance of what is unacceptable, I'm using the Midnight Boulevard. What is your dark acceptance? What do you not want but have to somehow, what are you afraid of? What terrifies you? What wants to be in your life even though you don't want it to be in your life? It's the reverse Two of Swords. I guess you have to accept the idea that something is forcing you to make a decision or a choice that you don't really want to do yet. You want to either put this off or think about doing this some other time or in another way. But I think you have to accept the idea that there are other forces that are making you do this, and whatever this question or situation you have to move towards, it's something you really don't want to do at all. Maybe it's not like it's committing a crime, but it really goes against part of your nature. So it may have something to do with your interlocking relationships with other people. Hey, maybe it's about politics. You have to finally tell somebody what you think about who they really are or what they really are due to their, political nature. So it's kind of a not great thing. All right, we're going to move on to the next one then, and it's the Dark Compulsion. The Dark Compulsion is, what is it you feel you are being forced to do? Or what are you actually being forced to do? What dark thing is forcing you to do something that you really don't think you want to do? I'm going to use the Murder of Crows tarot for that. The Murder of Crows has that sense of obligatory darkness in a way, the kind of things that just happen and there's no real reason for it and nothing good comes from it. Why does Mr. O like all of these dark, dismal decks? Well, I guess they work for Goth Tarot. Someday I'll write the book. All right, the Dark Compulsion, the thing you feel you are being forced to do or compelled somehow. And it's the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles think you feel like you're being compelled to explore something that you don't feel you adequately can do that. A lot of times the page has to level up. The page has to become a better philosopher or a better student or a better explorer into metaphysical themes or esoterics of certain sorts. So you feel forces are compelling you to do these things. You don't really want to do them for other reasons. Maybe you're afraid of what you could discover about yourself or about what you need to do about your situation, what your true avenues to do something about it. And it may be because of what you're going to discover through other kinds of studies, occult or otherwise. All right, we're going to move on now to the next card, and I call this one the Dark Sacrifice. And I've had the Dark Sacrifice before as a position of cards, but it's going to mean something a little bit different this time. It's not about what it is you need to give up or what it is you can give up or make better through that sacrifice. It's really going to be more about whether or not you can survive what's going on here with all of this. And it may pertain to the oppression of the certainties or the shadow of the certainties. Not as much, I think. I think this is talking about this specific reading in a way, what it invokes, because it does seem to have a narrative of its own. It doesn't directly relate to certainties, but it probably relates to oppressiveness in our lives that we're feeling, whether it's due to just internal brooding or about actual situations. Some of this feels like it's oppression because of the society, and it could be because of Gothicness or because of perceptions of being anti-American, anti-Christian. I think in the back of my head, this was really behind my formation of Goth Tarot all along, was that whether we're just pagans or witches, or whether we're LBGQT, or we're just broody emo people, we don't fit in, and we're tired of not fitting in or of pretending that we can fit in. We just want to be able to live our own lives. So what is the Dark Sacrifice? What is it that we can use somehow to survive? Or what parts of us can and it's the reversed Five of Wands. And I'm the kind of person that thinks that the Five of Wands is more about strife and stuff when it's reversed, but I have this ongoing debate with Banshee. I'm willing to see that in this respect, this is maybe saying that it is really about finding a way to rise above some of the competition or the competitory nature of our lives and try to be more cooperative instead of less divisive, trying to work together rather than not work together. That would be what we have to do, is we have to forge some unlikely or unseemly alliances that it's by creating new kinds of partnerships or alliances. And it doesn't mean we're going to become Republican or anything like that. It doesn't mean that we're going to accept people that don't like goth people at all. No, it means we're going to find where we belong and what we can use to survive. All right, so our final card then, and if you notice, I'm sort of creating a pentagram there, comes from the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. I like this one. It has a lot of appeal for Goth Tarot. And I call this reading the Dark Redemption. What is it that we really need to try and strive for? What is realistic for us to try to be? And I know a lot of times people say, no, I just want to be what I am, and I don't want to try to be something that other people think I should be. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I am saying that sometimes if we deny a particular potential we have just because we think it puts us at odds with our persona in some way, then maybe we didn't understand really something about our persona that would have allowed for that. Because at the end of the day, we're a lot of things. You know, we could be a Wiccan, but we can go to church on Christmas Day with our parents. Maybe that's not the best example. But we live blended lives in our community, no matter what or non-religious paths we follow, because we do have to live in the paradigm of a Christian or monotheistic world. So what is our dark redemption? What can we strive to do to make it better? And well, maybe it's not about making it better, but it's the reverse Three of Cups. And maybe this is like a big finger in the eye to Mr. O here. Maybe it's saying like, no, we don't have to try and strive for, you know, the big happy family that the Three of Cups normally would represent. Maybe this is saying we are meant to be the fly in the ointment, you know, the sort of pain in the ass that some of our family or friends think we are because we don't fit in, we don't get along, we don't try to get along. We're the ones that will argue with Uncle Harry when he goes on some political rant at Thanksgiving dinner. Crap like that. Well, sometimes you just have to be yourself. And if being yourself is saying, being true to your goth nature is saying, no, I'm not going to be happy for the sake of appearances. I'm going to be happy when it suits me to be happy. Otherwise, I'm going to feel what I feel about life, that sometimes the party is over. I mean, I think that's a little bit of what I get from looking at that last card there. All right, so we're going to close with an affirmation and card from the Earth and Bone Oracle by Syrian Shadow. I'm going to use the same stage where we had our opening card from the Shadow and Light Oracle. And what falls to the floor comes to the door. It's uncover. It fell when I was shuffling, and I have a very strong feeling it is the card I wanted. Uncover. It'll just take me a moment to find that. you are. Sorry about that. Nostalgia. Sentimentality. Memory. Let go of forcing it. Get in touch with what you enjoyed as a child. Try making a list and start having fun. Do not worry or think of any fears. Do not block yourself by having doubts. Do for the sheer enjoyment of doing. You can literally be successful at anything. The choice is yours to do what you love. Guidance and help from spirits in the universe are always on your side. You're the only one standing in your way. Keep it secret and don't worry. You are always guided and loved. Spirit guides are telling you that they want to see you smile and laugh and play. Practice being happy. Like attracts like. Don't pay attention to the collective or popular beliefs. You have to listen to yourself and start believing in yourself. Silence the noise and do what brings you joy. Life is too short to care about the opinions of others. Do whatever makes you feel good as long as you aren't hurting others. Now, where have I heard that before? Affirmation. I release all old habits and beliefs that have held me back. I know what is meant for me will find me. All right, so I'm going to give us a final view of the cards. We went through the dark unknown, the dark acceptance, the dark compulsion, the dark sacrifice, and the dark redemption. And I think what we saw is that sometimes we just have to be true to ourselves, like the meditation said in the end. That even as whatever type of goth or emo personalities we are, we have the right to be that. And we don't have to really mesh with society. There's a lot to realize that maybe society isn't worth meshing with right now. Don't be afraid of being over competitive where you need to be. Don't be afraid of putting off making important decisions you might feel. And above all, don't feel you have to be in with the in crowd when you're not invited to something, or if you don't feel like you're invited. That doesn't mean anything. It just means you haven't found what you're looking for, and you are welcome to keep searching for it. So it's Oberon saying thank you for watching. Don't forget to watch the other shows this week, our live show on Thursday nights, and also my Friday morning show, the happy hour at 10 a.m. on Saturday, Banshee's Material Matters at 10 a.m. Sunday, and our second live stream on Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4. So this is Oberon. I'll see you next time.